So hello everybody. My name is Carla Plasencia, and on behalf of the student world, I welcome you to this awesome webinar that we have today with the University of Oregon. We are going to share with you some amazing information, but before that, I'm just going to share with you how this platform works real fast. So as you can see on the right side of your screens, you have the chat. There is for you to say hi, just as you are saying. Oh my God, we have a lots of people. This is so exciting. Thank you so much. There, you can also share with us where you're watching us from. That will be super cool. So we know from Ghana, perfect, Nigeria, Tunisia. That is so awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Now, here in the second tab of your chat, you have the questions. Here in the questions, please share with us all the questions that you have throughout the presentation so I can keep track of that. And we will have a Q&A session at the end. Now, if the bell for the notifications get a little bit annoying because we have a lot of people and it can get a bit annoying, you can mute it. Just clicking on the bell and then you can mute the notifications so you can like take all your attention onto the presentation. Now I'm going to introduce you to our amazing presenters for today. We have Ashley, Lorenzo, and Alfredo, and they are here to share us some amazing information about the admission process in the US. So thank you guys for being here with us today, and the stage is all yours.
Good evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. We are so pleased to be having you here with us to hear all about the University of Oregon. But before I begin, I do have two announcements to make. Number one, we're going to be talking about the U.S. admissions process. We're going to be focusing today on the undergraduate admissions process. If you are looking for a graduate program, please don't despair. Some of the information will apply. And if you have submitted or registered for this event, we will get your information to the graduate school so they can communicate with you. So please keep that in mind as you listen to our presentation. The second bit of information is even more exciting. Um, I will be in Nigeria and Ghana next week. So I will be there at two events or three events, two in Nigeria. The first one will take place in the city of Abuja um, at the Nikon Luxury Hotel on September 13th. Um, so it'll be hosted by Education USA. Okay, it will take place from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. On Tuesday, September 13th in Abuja. The second will be in the wonderful city of Lagos. It will take place at the Radisson Blue Hotel in Ikeja. That's on Isaacs John Street. Um, and that will take place from about 9 until 2 p.m. again on September 15th, Thursday. And finally, on Saturday, September 17th, from about 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., I will be at Labadi Beach Hotel in the great city of Accra. I am so anxious to get back to Accra. It's been so long. And yes, it will be another fair at Labadi Beach Hotel from about 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, September 17th. I hope to see many of you there. Please come and join us, and you will get to see me. You get more information, um, and it'll be a great time. Okay, so let's just start this presentation because we do want to save some time for questions at the end. First of all, we've already introduced ourselves, but just in case you didn't get to see enough of us on the screen, here we are. Please take note of our email addresses. You can reach out to us using those email address. Send us questions, or if you just want to connect and find out more about the admissions process, you can do that using that information. So we're going to talk about the U.S. admissions process. Again, we're going to focus mainly on undergraduate admissions process, um, and each of one of us is going to talk a little bit about each section. So to get underway, let me just give you an overview. Okay, applying to U.S. Higher education or U.S. university does take some work. Okay, we try our best to make it as simple and as straightforward as possible. But and most of all, if you walk away with any message, the message is that we're here to help and support you through the process. We are work in the admissions office. We do provide support and consider and review the applications, but we're really here to support you through that process and make sure you put your best application forward. So please never hesitate to reach out and ask us questions. Okay? So an overview, explore and narrow your options. So you need to first really think about what it is that you want to study. Are you interested in a specific major? What you hope to do for your career? Um, what kind of environment you want to live in? All these questions you will be going through as you consider the different universities you hope to apply to. The second will be applying, submitting your application. Make sure you meet the requirements. Make sure you submit all the necessary documents, that you go through the appropriate portal and do everything that the university you're applying to requires. You will receive communication in between there if something's missing, updates, you'll receive information about the school. Make sure you're reading your emails. Make sure whatever email you use to submit your application that you monitor that email because you'll be getting a lot of requests of information, a lot of updates. So, and finally, you'll get your offer letter. You'll get your admission decision from that email. So make sure you keep track of that email. Next, there'll be additional information that we want from you, but you need to accept your admission, and you'll also possibly need to pay a deposit. You'll need to enroll for housing. You'll need to enroll for an orientation, which, by the way, we call our introduction. Okay, lots of duck puns here at the University of Oregon because of our great mascot behind my shoulder here. Um, and finally, as an international student, you need to prepare for entry into the United States on your student visa. So you need to submit the financial documents needed for entry into the US. In order to in order for us to submit or send you the I-20 document, which you will then use to get a visa appointment and get your student visa, which will permit you to come to the United States and join us here, hopefully, in Eugene, Oregon, at the University of Oregon. Okay, so process timeline. Okay, these are, it really depends on the university, but typically the applications open, in our case, late August, or early August actually, and there's several deadlines that you want to keep in mind. Okay, many institutions, okay, are very flexible with international students. Okay, we understand that your academic system runs on a different timeline. We understand that getting some documents in place might take some time. Okay, please do your best to meet the deadlines, but if there's some difficulty, let us know and we'll work with you to make sure you have every opportunity to complete your application and get your admission decision. The only hard deadline we cannot change is the time it takes for you to get your visa and to get to campus. So we do try to take that into account and make sure that you have that time. But if you're still struggling to get a decision in July and you haven't received your decision or something else is going on, it's going to be very difficult for you to get your visa. So early is better. And on that note, there are several deadlines throughout the year. We have early action deadline and early decision deadline. Those are two different rules, okay? They're a little different. Here at the University of Oregon, we do not have any requirement that you commit to us, okay? You can submit your application early. Early deadline is November 1. This permits you to get a decision before the winter break, but it's not a binding decision. You can continue to apply to other institutions and consider other options. We hope you won't. We hope you'll fall in love with the University of Oregon, but you do have that option. Then there's a regular decision deadline later on the year for the University of Oregon. It's later in February, which again permits you to take a little more time. For international students, we do try to encourage you to apply early. And the main reason for that is not only it gives you more time to consider your options, to prepare additional paperwork, to submit your financial documents that you need to get your I-20, but also once you submit your application, you will receive access to our scholarship portal. And we'll talk a little bit about scholarships later on, but we do have first our automatic scholarships, which you will be awarded based on your academic performance. Then we have our additional application scholarships, and those are amazing. You can get from $1,000 to $30,000 additional scholarships, but you have to apply separately. So in order to get access to that portal, you must submit your application. And so the earlier you submit that application, the longer you'll have to work on your additional scholarship application. We do have rolling admissions, and essentially what rolling admissions means is that we don't wait for any specific date for you to get your admissions decision. Some colleges announce all their admissions decisions on one day, oftentimes later in the spring. Here at the University of Oregon, the earlier you submit your application, the earlier you're going to get a decision. You submit your application tomorrow and it's complete. It will be reviewed, and roughly within 4 to 5 weeks, you'll get a decision. Definitely, if you do it early, you'll get it before the winter break. Make sure you do your research regardless of where you apply, regardless of where you're going, because you want to make sure you meet all the requirements, all the deadlines. It's very important. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over to my great colleague and partner in our international admissions team. Take it away, Ashley.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for giving that overview of our timeline. So, I'm going to be discussing a little bit about what you're going to do before applying to a university. So, some things that you want to take into consideration is knowing yourself. While you're beginning your college search, it's really important to reflect who you are as a person. So, you want to look at what academic profile you have, your academic interests, as well as your budget. So, just knowing yourself before applying. You also want to do a lot of research on the universities. So each university is going to have something different. They're going to have their own strengths as well as their own personality. So it's really important to narrow down your options to look at what's a good fit for you. So looking at the different types of institutions, looking at the size of the institution that you're interested in, as well as the location. So with the University of Oregon, we're located in the Pacific Northwest in Eugene, Oregon. That's something that you would want to consider when you're looking at different universities. And then after you've done a little bit of research, reflected on what you're looking for, looking at the different universities, you want to find the right match for you to look at what school they're going to best support you, but also challenge you based off of what you have reflected on. And then I'm going to pass this over to Lorenzo, who's going to be talking about the next.
All right, awesome, Ashley. Thanks so much, and welcome everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Again, I'm gonna dive into the application side of things and gonna give you an overview of what you might be expected to submit when you start applying to American universities. But before I do that, I'd love to ask a question to you all, and you can submit your answers in the chat. But just out of curiosity, how many universities do you think there are in the United States? You can start, throwing out your numbers in the chat. It's just it's a fun activity to see. Yeah, and thank you for posting that question there. Okay, we are seeing some numbers coming in. 5,000. I think many of you have definitely done research on this, which is great. Yes, more than 500. All right, so great. I mean, we're seeing some guesses. The great thing is that there are many institutions. So more than 4,500, more than 4,500 universities in the United States. The bad thing with that is that all of them might vary a little bit with what they require of you to apply. So thank you everyone for participating on that. And you're all definitely in the ballpark. So more than 4,000 institutions. Many institutions will share similar factors and similar application materials that they require, but we're going to try to give you an overview of the differences perhaps and the main materials that you should be able to submit to all of these institutions. So first, some of the things that will vary. The applications that different universities use. You might have heard of the Common Application before as being a general university application platform with more than 1,000 institutions on it. Many universities in the U.S. use that, but many also have their own application through their own portal, through their own forms that they want you to submit. Many universities might be on a state system application, for example, and that's the only way that you can apply. So again, there's going to be differences in how universities want you to submit their application. The other thing is going to be the materials that are required, and I'm going to go and dive into that a little bit later on. But we're going to talk about different transcripts, different test scores that you might have to submit for some universities, maybe letters of recommendation that one university is requiring but the other one isn't. So this is going to vary as well. The other thing is minimum standards for admissions. Going to vary by institution. Selectivity and competition is connected to this. The review process also varies. At the end, Ashley's going to talk about holistic review to give you an idea of kind of what we do and what we mean by holistic review, what we're looking at specifically when we are evaluating applications. And finally, funding opportunities also vary by institution based on the amount of scholarships that they can give out to international students, for example. So this is just kind of a nice overview of some of the things to look out for. But on the next few slides, we're going to dive into, you're ready to apply. What do you need to have in front of you to really make this process as smooth as possible? And these are some of the things that the universities are going to ask you for. So, for example, if you're using an application like the Common App or the Coalition or another platform like that, these are some of the things that might help you complete the process. You'll find that universities are asking for some type of resume or CV or just a list of your extracurricular involvement, your achievements, your honors, anything, academic awards, for example. So it's good to have that ready to go in a list so that you're able to, write them out as smoothly as possible and transfer them from, your document to the Common Application. Other things that universities might ask for is for family information. Many reasons why we do this, but for the most part, we do like to see, for example, how we can best support you. Maybe you're the first in your family to go to college in the U.S. So how can we best help you through that process? So this information can be handy for so many reasons. We also, you will benefit from having your transcripts from secondary school on hand. This is going to be essential information for all universities. We want to see what your past and current courses are. Usually we like to see 3 years or more. It will depend on different curricula based on your country and what your high school offers. But that information is going to be a great foundation to start from when working on your application. So another big component of the application that you'll encounter is the application essay, the personal statement, the admissions essay, which you might already be working on. But I wanted to give you an overview as to why we really asked for this particular statement, or why many universities ask for this. So one thing that the essay can do is the essay is the only opportunity that you have to really share your story with your own voice. So that's the main thing that we want to get out of the essay is who you are, what you're passionate about, what interests you, maybe some things that you've learned throughout your life, some lessons learned, and what how that has influenced you to choose different paths, for example. So there's many different topics that you'll encounter for an admissions essay, but most importantly, we want to hear from you directly, and we want it to be authentic. So it can demonstrate who you are. It can show off your writing skills. It is a writing sample, so it's a great way to let universities know how you write, how you think, what your process is. Also, we do have some areas in the application where we can help you explain different gaps in your academic performance, help you explain different special circumstances that apply to you specifically. For example, if there was a family event that affected you greatly in ninth or 10th grade, and it affected your grades, you can definitely let us know, and we'll take that into consideration when we review your application. Now, so the essay is really important, but what the essay cannot do, unfortunately, is it cannot replace a poor academic record. We really do value both, but your academics are the best indicator of how you're going to succeed in college and how ready you are for college level courses. And your essay is a complement of that. So again, the essay cannot make an unqualified applicant qualified, for example. So some tips as you get ready for thinking about what to write is the Common App will have 7 different prompts that you can choose from. So read that carefully. Try to make a nice outline so that you can say everything that you want to say in that space that we provide with it, which is usually about 650 words. So not a lot of words, so you really have to outline it well and have a nice structure. And again, most importantly, be authentic and give yourself time to write and also to receive some feedback from people that you might trust, from a counselor, from a teacher, so that you can submit the best work that you can. Now, finally, another component that you might encounter is English proficiency, and this is going to vary widely by institution. It can vary by the country or the curriculum that you're studying in. So this is just some general information about this particular component. But English, universities might ask for test scores from specific English tests like TOEFL or IELTS, the Duolingo English test. Maybe you've taken IGCSEs and you might be able to submit that as part of this, requirement. You might also have heard of the SAT or the ACT and what's going on with test optional in the US or universities that are requiring the test, for example. So you want to make sure that you do that research so that you know exactly what that university needs to evaluate your application. And most importantly, if you do have to take any tests, give yourself time to practice, to take the test in a comfortable environment and to really give it your best shot as you go through that process. So I believe now I'm going to pass it on to Ashley, and she's going to talk about the review process a little bit and going back to that holistic review piece that I mentioned earlier. So Ashley, over to you.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so we're going to be discussing that holistic review. So what does it mean? It means that we're going to be taking into consideration all of the pieces of your application. So it's not going to mean that all of the pieces of your application are going to hold the same weight, but it does mean that we're going to look at all of those. So the importance of each piece of your application are going to vary based off of the different college or university that you're looking at. So we are going to do a thorough review of your application and every single material that you have submitted. So that means we are going to be looking at that essay that Lorenzo was talking about previously, because we want to see your voice and we do want to see who you are as a whole person, because we're going to be looking at things beyond your numbers and grades. But that doesn't mean that numbers and grades aren't important. Your grades are still a very important aspect of your application. Holistic review just means that we want to look at all pieces of that application. And so when we're talking about the different factors of your application, the first one's going to be your academic factors. So this has to do with your GPA as well as your grades. Lorenzo had mentioned how some test scores may be optional for different universities, so definitely do your research on that. For example, the University of Oregon is a test optional school, but that is one of those academic factors that some universities will consider. We're also going to be looking at the rigor of the courses you've taken. So that means the difficulty of the classes that you took. And we are going to review it in the context of your school's curricula. So the opportunities that were available to you, are you challenging yourself during your time in that school? And then the other piece that we're going to be considering is your non-academic factors. So that has to be your resume. Some universities might do interviews to get that personal component, the essay that we were talking about previously. This can also be done through things like letters of recommendation from teachers or counselors, any type of additional information that you're going to be providing those universities within your application. We also want to see that you have a demonstrated interest in something. So what are you hoping to learn within this college setting? Do you have outside activities that you have taken part of? This can also be things like caring for family members, if you have work outside of the high school setting. So these are going to be other components that are a part of your application that we are going to take into consideration. And then I'm going to pass it back over to Lorenzo.
All right. So thank you, Ashley. And yeah, so the final piece is really what happens after you've submitted your application and we've done the review. It's very important for you to really keep in touch with us and communicate with us throughout the process. Typically, when you apply to a university, you'll be able to create a portal or a status page, for example, from that university where it shows maybe what documents you might be missing, or what your status is if we've made a decision already and things like that. So you want to make sure that you check those things regularly. Keep a professional email address. That's very important. Always, you are applying to a professional institution, so make sure that you check your email regularly. That's usually the first way that we have to communicate with you, and we're always going to send things in writing with anything that we're missing. Check your spam folder with that again. You never know where it might go. And I think most importantly, I want to point out that please don't be afraid to reach out to any of us. I hope throughout the presentation you're getting the sense that we do love to help students. That is why we do what we do. And we really want to be accessible to you throughout the whole process. So if you need to connect via Zoom or via WhatsApp or through any other method that works best for you, we're here for you to help you through that process and make it less complex and less confusing as it can be. So that's just some tips to go through that process after you've submitted your application. And then finally, the decisions, right? So there's many types of decisions to be aware of. Of course, the first one would be the admitted decision, which is great, and what we always want to try to provide to the student. And the admission decision can be you've been admitted to the University of Oregon and you've been admitted to the School of Music as well. And so, sometimes different schools within a university might have different admission decisions based on program. The other decision is unfortunately a denial, which can happen, but we really hate to do. But sometimes it is not the end of the journey. There's many other pathways that you could take if you encounter that decision, and so we would help you through that process and counsel you through that process. The other decision would be a waitlist or a deferral or a postponement, for example, which means that we need more information perhaps to complete your decision and to maybe redo an evaluation of your application. So the next steps on that is, of course, if you've been admitted and you are and you really love the university that has admitted you, you would confirm your decision usually by May 1, which is the national deadline in the US. And then we kind of help you through the next steps. And based on other decisions, you could also appeal, providing new information that maybe might impact the initial review that we did. Or you might also choose to defer and do a gap year, perhaps, based on your circumstances. So this is just to let you know what can happen after you've submitted your application and how the universities will respond after your evaluation. So finally, I think I'll go ahead and send it over to Alfredo, and he will talk more specifically about the University of Oregon and tell you more about our programs and really what we specialize in as well. So, Alfredo, over to you.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Okay, I hope that general information was helpful to you. Um, we want to be here. We want you to find the best place, the best fit for you. We do hope that is the University of Oregon. So to give you a little more information about that, um, let what I skipped the slide. There we go. Okay, to give you a little more information about that, um, let me tell you a little bit about the University of Oregon. Okay, so the University of Oregon is, oh, I see what happened. Okay, the University of Oregon is located in the great state of Oregon, in the city of Eugene. Eugene is located close to the west coast of the United States, only about an hour away from the Pacific Ocean. It's a wonderful city. It's recognized as one of the greenest cities in the United States. It's also was listed as one of the top 30 safest cities in the United States. We really care a lot about each other here in the community of Eugene and at the University of Oregon. Kind of a sign of that is that, during the pandemic, we really took extra precautions to make sure that we were all safe and healthy. And in fact, now over about 97% of our students, faculty, and staff are fully vaccinated. And that's just a sign of how we really care about each other and want to keep everybody healthy and safe. As you can see, it's a beautiful campus. Lots of trees. Our campus is known, and in fact, Eugene is known as a tree city. It's also known as a bee city. And again, that's a testament to our connection with the natural environment. You can see the mountains off in the distance. During the winter months, students love to go up and go snowboarding or skating, and enjoy the winter sports. In the summer, they go down to the river, which runs right through campus, enjoy the water, or they go to the ocean. In terms of academics, University of Oregon, we have about 1,800 undergraduate students, about 22,000 students overall. We're not a huge institution. Some campuses have over 120,000 students, the size of a medium-sized city. I mean, that's incredible. Some people enjoy that. We like to make sure that you're not going to get lost on our campus, and we want to ensure that you're going to be safe. And so we think we're about the right size. We are a Tier 1 National Public Research Institution. We value inquiry. Most of our students, over 70% of our students, do some kind of research with their faculty or have an internship, often paid, while they are an undergraduate student. We are a member of the American Association of Universities, and this is a very prestigious organization of top-level universities in America, which includes campuses like Stanford and UC Berkeley and other top-level institutions. So we're very, very well recognized for our academics. We have a very wide range of academic degree programs, almost 300 programs, majors, minors, certificate programs that allow you to find one that's a best fit for you. Some of our top programs include architecture, business, sports marketing, and we also have some unique programs like comic studies. So it's a great opportunity. You can find something right for you. We are a Division I NCAA school. We are very competitive. Hope you didn't watch the game last week, but we are very competitive in all our sports: football, women's volleyball, women's basketball, men's basketball. We don't have a men's soccer team, but we do have a great women's soccer team, including other sports such as hockey. If you are an athlete, we can help you to understand the process for working with our athletics department if you're interested in that. Um, what else can I tell you about the University of Oregon? Um, we do have some great opportunities for you here on our campus. We believe that safety is very important both in the community of Eugene and on our campus. Um, many of our students get great jobs after they graduate. Um, we have a great, the founder of Nike Shoes, Phil Knight, um, just donated $1 billion to the campus, and we're using that investment to build 3 great new buildings dedicated to research, so our students can find a great job after they graduate. And many of our students find jobs at some of the local companies because of our locations. We have good connections with Google, Nike, which I mentioned, Apple computers, as well as other opportunities in around Northern California, the Seattle area, Portland, etc. So we want to get to some questions. I've seen some here. I want to address a few things. The main set of questions, actually, I think our host is going to come back at this point. But I'll just go ahead. Our main set of questions is dealing with scholarships. So if I can address that first, please, I would appreciate that. Okay. We do offer some great scholarship opportunities. Okay. We offer a couple different tiers of scholarships. I think I mentioned earlier, we offer our automatic scholarship based on your academic performance, on the transcripts you submit, on your application, you will automatically be considered for scholarships in the range of $7,500 to $15,000. And those are guaranteed for the whole time that you're here, okay, up to 5 years. The second type of scholarship are our additional application scholarships, and I mentioned those. Once you submit your application, you will receive access to the application portal. You will be able to review a whole list of scholarships. Some of them range from $1,000 to $30,000. They're very competitive. They do require an additional application. They do require an additional essay. And if you're chosen, you will be interviewed to ensure that you are the candidate we want to award these scholarships. Unfortunately, now you can't stack these scholarships, okay? So if you get an automatic scholarship and you get an additional scholarship, you can combine them together, okay? Unfortunately, they often do not equal the total cost of attending the University of Oregon. So we do not provide any full ride scholarships that include tuition, room, board, but you can get very close to a full tuition scholarship depending on your qualifications. The final thing is, well, actually not the final thing that I want to mention in terms of financing your career, but very important to know is that we have what was called the Oregon Guarantee. You'll note that many universities frequently increase their tuition year after year. And so the tuition you're paying at the 4th year, it can be very different from the tuition you paid in your 1st year because it's increased 3%, 5% every year. At the University of Oregon, your tuition will remain the same for up to 5 years to allow you to complete your degree, have a budget for yourself, and you know what you're going to pay. Finally, okay, we know the cost of higher education in the United States can be difficult. So as another option, we do love our transfer students. We invite you to look at a community college, spend 2 years there, much lower cost, and then transfer to the University of Oregon. And in fact, we have a great community college just 10 minutes from here, Lane Community College, great opportunity right in Eugene. You wouldn't even have to move once you transferred, and you'd be giving yourself a 2-year scholarship if you went that route. It also permits you the opportunity to think about If you're not quite at the academic level to enter directly into the University of Oregon, it gives you a different route to get into the University of Oregon or another 4-year university at the top level. Okay, because the admission requirements are often a lot easier for transfer students. Okay. Um, so any other questions that you saw that we could answer?
Yes, I have a lot. um, mm, Many students were asking if there is a way to skip the English proficiency certificate.
Um, Possibly. Okay. We are expanding the list of countries this year that we will give waivers to in order to avoid the English language proficiency requirement. Okay. So we're including a few countries from Africa starting this year, and those would be Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa. So if you are from those countries and you are applying, you would not need to submit evidence of English language proficiency. Um, in addition, if you have, if you do take the SAT or ACT because you're applying to a school that requires it, University of Oregon does not require that. Okay, we do not require the ACT or SAT. Um, but you're already applying or thinking about applying to a school that does require that, um, um, and you took the test, you can submit your English language scores. And if you scored the minimum required score on the English portion of the SAT or ACT, you would not need to take an additional test. I will say also, in addition to TOEFL, IELTS, we also take Duolingo. Duolingo is very accessible. It's low cost. You can do it from your home. It only takes about an hour, and it's a great way to meet the English language proficiency requirement. Okay, just be careful because the camera is very sensitive, and if you look away for 5 seconds or 3 seconds, it may cancel your test. So please take some care when you're taking that test. But again, it's about 1/5 the cost of TOEFL or IELTS, and you can do it in an hour, and you can do it anywhere that has a internet connection. Okay, but and again, you know, you can ask us based on your situation if there's another way to meet the English language proficiency requirement, but generally we do require it from most of our students.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Um, okay, now the next question will be, is there any chance to work while studying?
Yes, you can work on campus um, while you are a student. If you get a job on campus, you can work up to 20 hours. Work study is an option at the University of Oregon for international students. Um, um, and it permits you to take advantage and earn some extra pocket money for a meal out or some time, just shopping. Okay, so and you can also work over the summers off campus through a program um, known as CPT. Once you get to campus, if you find an internship over the summer, you can earn some extra money over the summer.
Awesome, that's great. Some students here are also asking about the accommodation. How does that work with you?
We do require all first-year students to live on campus for the first year. And once you receive your acceptance, you'll be asked to submit a housing application. There's generally a deposit. You do get to choose your housing based on certain criteria. We also have some great what are they called? ARCs, academic residential communities, based on student interest or background. If you're a business major, if you're a science major, if you want to share certain characteristics or interests with other students, you can do that.
That's great. Awesome. Um, Here I have another question that is, do the requirements depend on the course we want to apply to?
I'm going to let my colleague Lorenzo answer that. Thank you.
So at the undergraduate level, no, I mean, we will be admitting you to the University of Oregon specifically. There's going to be some programs, for example, architecture, product design, music, for example. They might require additional components, right? So they might highly encourage a portfolio if you're interested in the arts. For music, you would have to apply specifically to the University of Oregon, to the School of Music and Dance, and maybe have to audition for one of those programs. So but only those three programs really have specific requirements that vary from the general admission requirements of the University of Oregon. But for the vast majority of our programs at the undergraduate level, it would be, the same admission requirements that we're looking for from all students.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Lorenzo. Um, Another question that I have here is that if they get like personal guidance on the application process, during the application process.
Ashley, take that away.
Yeah, definitely. Could you repeat the question for me? I
Sure.
apologize. Thank you.
They would like to know if they get any personal guidance while they are in the application process.
Definitely. So if any student wants to connect with any three of us during the application process, you can send us an email. We're also available for one-on-one Zoom meetings if students are interested in. So any types of questions, we really welcome it. We really want to help you with this process to kind of make it the easiest one for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. Um, Here I have a question if you have anything related to medicine.
I'd be happy to. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Ashley. You're good.
Yeah, so we offer a lot of really great programs that can help set you up for that. We even have a pre-professional health program, and so that means that there's specific advising as well as programs that are kind of associated with medicine or pre-health programs at the University of Oregon. So they will help you with things like building your resume. If you wanted to kind of go through an interview process with them as well, they have specific programs for that and specific advising.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. I do have lots of questions here about how can they start the application? What are the first steps on that?
Happy to take that one. So, I mean, all of our process is really online. If you go to our main website, we'll have the main apply option there, and it'll guide students to the different platforms that we accept. So the Common Application, for example, the Coalition, and we have our own application as well that we've built. So whichever one works best for the students will work best for us. To prepare for our application, we really will need the personal information that's submitted for all applications. We like to see extracurricular involvement, maybe a list of 3 to 5 or 3 to 7 different activities that students are involved in. And then we will ask for unofficial copies of your transcripts. So from your secondary school, which you can upload directly on your portal, or you can email to us directly. We will help you kind of get that connected to your file. The final piece for us would be English proficiency based on specific criteria that we're looking for. It might vary by country, like we've learned, or by curricula. So once we have those 3 things, we would be able to start reviewing an application and provide an admissions decision.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lorenzo. Here someone wants to know if you have any maximum age for applying to the university. Awesome.
Nope.
Perfect. Um, Someone here is asking if you have a minimum GPA that is accepted.
I think that goes, Alfredo, or no, I think it's, I thought you
Well,
got it. Go ahead.
yeah. So I will say that our average GPA for incoming students is 3.75, okay, on a 4-point scale. However, that's a range, that's the average. So the range extends up to about a 4.5 because we do have weighted classes. And incredibly enough, we have students who get over a 4.0 on a 4.5. But then it also goes down the other way. And we highly recommend or we suggest that students get at least a 3.0, although depending on your application, because we do a holistic review, um, students with a 3.75 or 3.8 could get admission. So just put your best foot forward and we will review your application, take into account all aspects of your application and make our best decision based on wanting you to be successful here at the University of Oregon. Okay, that's important. We want to ensure that you're successful academically, okay, and we don't want you to come here and find out that it wasn't the right fit and maybe you don't do well. So that's really what we base our decision on.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. Here I have someone asking if you accept GED students or homeschool students who did the American curriculum.
Yes, we do. It would be a slightly different admissions process just in the materials that are submitted. But we do review students who have GED scores or who have been homeschooled with the American curriculum many times as well throughout the year. So I think the best way to help them through that process, just because it is slightly different, would be to connect with us directly. And we can kind of let them know specifically what we're looking for in those specific cases.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Um, Here they are also asking about deadlines.
Ashley, you want to go for it?
Yeah, definitely. So the University of Oregon has different deadlines. So our first one is going to be November 1st, which is our early action deadline. That means, kind of Alfredo was talking about this previously, you're going to receive an admissions response from us by December 15th. We also have our regular deadline, which is January 15th. And that means you're going to be receiving a response from us by April 1st. Most important deadline is going to be that you want to have your materials submitted and your application in by February 15th, because that's what makes you eligible for our merit-based scholarships. And then May 1st is also going to be the National Decisions Day. So that can be when you tell the university that you're interested and you want to come.
Okay, look, we're running out of time, and before I just have a couple of quick announcements, we'll take some more questions if we do have time. But number one, I put the list of events coming up next week in Nigeria and Ghana in the chat. If you're in Nigeria or Ghana and you can get there, please do. And for those of you who have stuck with us, if you come to those events and visit the U of O table, come to me, say hello. If you say the secret phrase is, I want to fly like a duck. If you come to my table and say, I want to fly like a duck, I'm going to give you a pin, okay, a button, okay, or something else that you can take with you. I have a couple pins. I don't know if you can see those. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, but I have some pins here. Okay, and come by the table, say, I want to fly like a duck, and I'll give you a pin. Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you, Alfredo, for sharing that. Um, we're running out of time, as you said. So if you could share a link on the chats so they can see all the programs that you offer, because they are asking a lot of specific questions, and unfortunately, we won't have time to address all of them. And while we are on that, I saw here a very cool question that I would like to wrap up everything with. And it is, what kind of a student will be a perfect fit for the University of Oregon?
Wow, very quickly, I think we'll all give a little bit more short answer. I would say somebody who's really inquisitive. They have a lot of questions. Um, they want to learn as much about themselves as about other people. Um, and they love the outdoors. Okay. Lorenzo, Ashley, what do you guys think?
Boy, I think many different personalities and student profiles really thrive here. But I think someone who's looking for a community would definitely be able to find it. I think that is something that has stuck with me. I think Ashley and I both studied here as well, so we can speak from that perspective. It's a very welcoming environment, and so a student who's looking for that would definitely be able to succeed. Someone who maybe wants to get involved but doesn't know quite where to start. There's gonna be a lot of resources to kind of help them connect. So, Ashley, I don't know, anything
Yeah,
else?
yeah. Just kind of to add, the community piece is really strong with the University of Oregon. Like Lorenzo said, we're both alumni of the University of Oregon. There's over 300 clubs and organizations on campus, so you're bound to find community with people who have similar interests as you. So that was kind of the one thing I wanted to mention.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for sharing that. Now, I would like to let you know, to the students, that we recorded this session and we will upload it to the Student World channel so you can watch it again or share it with someone that you think might be interested in knowing all of this. I will also put whole screen this again so you can take a screenshot on your devices and you can save the email addresses, because I know that we were not able to go through all the questions because they were a lot, and that is amazing. So please feel free to reach out, to send a message with your particular situation, because I know that our representatives will be super happy to help you and guide you throughout all the process. And now I would like to thank all of you to for being here today, for sharing with us a little bit of your morning, afternoons, evenings, to be here with us and to know more about this, all the admission process in the U.S. and the University of Oregon. And I would also like to thank our presenters, Lorenzo, Ashley, and Alfredo, for sharing with us all this amazing information and all the opportunities. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for hosting us. Thank you,
So
everyone, for joining us.
thank you, everyone. I'll
Thank
see
you,
you next time.
guys.